see this object in like a shop, do you already feel the vibration of it?
Sometimes, but sometimes vibration has to be reactivated. I remember I was with Jean in Los Angeles, in the LA County Museum of Art. There was an exhibition called the Diamond Path in the Silk Road. And there was a bronze, and we went to the exhibition with Jean, and Jean stood in front of the bronze, and I could see something was happening, I didn't know what. And then we left, and then after I asked him, what did you do with the bronze? And he said the bronze had been looked at an object too long, so it needed to be reactivated, to be alive again. The object I really like, that what I learned from Jean from the beginning. And so in shop, sometimes there's still some vibration, sometimes it is gone, but it could be always reactivated. But sometimes it's very old, like for example, many northern India was so much invaded by the Muslims that very often, like in the Gupta period, when the Muslim will come, priest will take the lingam, bury it. Yeah. So you find like the Kushan, late Kushan Gupta lingam this side of the face. It was like that. It was late 4th, early 5th century, but there was no power. And so this thing was buried 1500 years. So you have to activate it again. It was dead because there was no more worship. But some piece, you can, and again, it's very, you cannot say if it's the peace you feel or the resonance in you of the peace, because there's actually no difference. So I will never assert the peace as some power. Maybe for me, the peace activates something in myself, but the peace I feel of myself is not something, it's not an object of discussion, because actually the separation is purely semantic. But some peace you feel, like all the arms I have downstairs, I feel they've been used to kill people. I don't like modern arms. And when you take them, when I train with them, I can feel something. Either the peace gives me this feeling, I refer to my own feeling there, or I feel the peace, honestly I don't know the difference. But there is resonance. You know, like when you meet somebody, sometimes you have resonance. Is it coming from the person or from you? It's too complex thing to ever assert it. But definitely some object, or at least a material, like personally I don't like modern materials. So I only live with something made with modern glue. That's all, like the carpet is glue, the wool, but it's under, it's modern. But I try to avoid, try to live with objects which have been, like traditional wood is cut at the right time, and it dry the right way. Modern wood is cut at the wrong time, dry in the wrong way. So of course, 100 years after, it will begin to crack. We have played with Han Dynasty, more than 2,000 years in wood. They haven't moved. The lacquer. They have been cut at the right time. They dry the right way. So if you find an old piece has been from Japan, from India, from China, the wood has been cut like in Europe up to the 18th century, like the wood of Notre Dame in Paris. They didn't move for 600 years. It's an art. So a modern thing was made with modern material, very different vibration. So I try as much as I can to, I don't buy things made with modern material. There are some exceptions in the kitchen. But if I was living alone, there's very little exception, even in the kitchen. Not they have a life object, but it takes some time. First time I heard that was from Jean, of course. I bought a piece, I think it's in the page of one of my Spanish books, or Italian, I forget. It's a woman, standing woman, like this, big wood, South India. So the arm was always too long in South India. And she had one mudra, which if you don't know India much, you call that a showy bearer. That means she's holding a fan to remove the bees or the fly from the deities. But actually, this mudra is a specific mudra, is the offering body mudra. And it was strong. So about this piece, for no reason, I didn't know. On my first seminar in Paris, at 20 people, I made 800 francs at the time. Then I passed this thing, got 800, and I bought it. 1 month I had nothing to eat, I could not take underground, I couldn't buy a ticket before. But I always function like that. What I like I buy, and then I adapt to the rest. So I move in the Jean's apartment, this piece, and one day he come to see me. He sat and we talked, and then he said, "Did you notice how much she changed?" And the only thing I didn't know what he talked about. So I didn't know if it was somebody we talk about. And then I realized he was talking about the piece. And then he talked more, and he said that this piece was in a certain sect and so on. And so the first time I heard that object was moving, and slowly he began, because it was very much important for him to talk about the object and how to choose an object, and there was a feeling, and mostly it was with his right hand. He would take an object, and when he would come to the elbow, there are many information, more in the shoulders. So he will tell me some object. At the time I knew very little, I didn't know where it come from, so he will tell me. And one day I had a dream. I don't need maybe 10 dreams of objects I've seen in dream before I see them. So I had a dream I see in crystal, a piece in crystal. A few days later, a man called me, and I never know how this man got my number, because he said, "Oh, I know you like things from the Himalayas. I just came back from Nepal. I want to show you something." I don't know how he got my number. At the time, I had no money. I would buy very little. I like this thing, but I had no money. I hesitated to go, but I said I will go. So I went there. I saw this piece. So I just dreamed. So I bought it. At the time, I was close to a very nice woman, which is dead now. And I said, "Well, I will give her the piece because she's so beautiful." So I have the piece with me, and Jean come to see me. So he takes the piece in his hand, and he said, "Oh no, this is too subtle for the hand." So he put down the piece, he removed his socks, and he put his feet on it. He said, "When the piece is too subtle, the feet is more sensitive than the hand." And then he come here, and then he gave me information. He said, "Oh, this piece, don't give it to your friend. You can lend it to her. You must stay with a man, you must put a velvet. Purple velvet around it, and this is how to use it, in a ritual circumstance, and so on and so on." That was the second time he will really tell me about an object. It was very important for him. And with his wife, we were once, his wife like antiques, so we went to move in and walk in house, shop in Saint-Germain, Paris, and there was beautiful candlestick, big. And trying to buy them, and I said, "No, don't buy them." I said, "Why don't buy them?" So we walk out of the shop, and he said, "Why?" And I said, "One have been used to kill somebody. And it is still there, and I don't need to buy that." So that was this lecture of things. Those things are alive, but it takes time to see, but it's like everything. Like when you meet somebody, well, you look, see the shape of his body, the sound of his voice, maybe his car. It takes some time to discover the intelligence, the courage of the person. Same thing. We first see the clothes. But for him, it was very important to live with objects of which are alive.
How did you bring some of the objects back to its original state?
Love, same thing with human being, with anything. You don't accept the objective part, you accept the feeling. I mean, you look at the beauty of somebody, but at some point you shut your eyes and you feel it. The object is the same thing. You look at the object, you put aside what you know, because you know the day, the period, this is, why not, but it's irrelevant. But the feeling is different. And sometimes you can find a piece which is not much, I've been downstairs in my ritual area, they're not very anything, not rare, but they're very strong, and sometimes you can find very rare piece, but there's no power. Like very often the Mughal art, like you see the Shah Jahan jade cup or this thing is extremely beautiful, but it is dead. Shah Jahan was an imbecile. So his cup is imbecile. You can see the sword of a great warrior. It's court sword. And now you find the sword of a real sword man is less beautiful, there's no diamonds on it, it's not gold, but you feel the man who have all this, who train with his sword, really mean something. As the sword of all the kings, well, they were hardly used on the battlefield. They were just to decorate the court.